Hello, and welcome to the Urban Roundtable, coming to you from the Hollywood Park Casino in Inglewood, California. I got to tell you that today's guest is a very special guest. We go way back, and when I say way back, she doesn't like it when I say that, because she's only 30. But Hattie Winston is our guest today, and I want to tell you I have never in my life been so impressed with a career as I have been with that of Hattie Winston. Hattie, welcome to the Roundtable.
Thank you.
Okay, so now you're on hiatus now.
Yes, but we're starting our 5th season, and to even have a job in this industry, to start your 5th year, it's a miracle.
Well, see, that's what I was so happy when, first of all, when you got the show. Then when I saw you in the show, because we go back, you and I.
Well, you keep talking about me, but the thing that the audience needs to know is that I am in this business because of you.
Because of me?
Yes.
Did you all hear that?
Because it was something I always wanted to do, but when I was a teenager, you remember this, don't you, Robert?
I remember it.
Okay, when I was a teenager, you started this group in New York City for kids like myself who lived in the projects, and you watched a lot of my friends who were falling by the wayside, and most of them were dying from drugs. And you decided that you were going to do something, and you started this group. And I was a member of the group. Many other talented people were a member of that group.
Well, it was something that I could do at the time.
Yes.
It was something that I wanted to do at the time, and I'm so happy that I did, because look what happened. I mean, your career. Now, we go back, we won't deal with that group. Incidentally, was called the Group Theater Workshop.
Right.
And Hattie was the key member of the workshop, because she was also the workshop coordinator, because I think she was the oldest. She had just graduated from Howard University, and she helped me tremendously to put this company together. But you were on the electric company for a good while.
Oh, yeah. I did the electric company for, I believe it was 4 years.
4 years,
yeah.
And then you had another series.
Yes, I did another series called Nurse, which was shot in New York.
Right.
And then I did a lot of guest appearances. I did another series called Homefront.
Right.
And now I'm doing Becker.
Doing Becker.
And in between, I've been very fortunate because I've done films.
Right, you've done feature films.
Yes.
You've done several feature films.
Yes.
Couple
Jackie
of them.
Brown.
Jackie Brown.
Yeah. True Crime with Clint Eastwood.
You did the Whoopi Goldberg movie?
Yes, Clara's Heart with Whoopi Goldberg. And I did a piece that young people would recognize called The Deedles, which was a Disney film.
Right.
So I've done more films. I've done, I do the game shows, I do all that stuff, and I've also stayed in theater. I direct.
Well, that's your first love. I mean,
Yes,
theater, and I wanted to just touch on that, because you were telling me that you're working with, doesn't have that much to do with theater, but what about the kids that you're working with?
Oh, yeah.
Look at the smile on the face when I mentioned that.
Yeah. I started an organization with some other mothers, actually families, called Onyx Village. And the purpose of the group is to teach. We have mostly African-American children, African-American biracial children. Now we have some Japanese students.
Right.
And the purpose of the organization was to teach the kids about their history, and we do it through cultural activities, so that I'm combining culture with history, which are both my passions.
Right.
And we do things like we'll take the kids to the Black Rodeo, we'll go to the Universal Circus, we'll take them to the Black Circus, we'll take them to the museum when there is an exhibit that has Black artists.
Oh, wonderful.
We'll do anything that has to do with culture, but then what we do is we teach them the history of that particular art form. For example, most people do not think that there existed black cowboys. But there really were black cowboys.
Some of the great cowboys.
The greatest cowboys were black. People don't think of artists, painters. They don't think of painters from the 1800s. They only think of us in terms of one particular episode in our lives, and that is our history as it relates to slavery. And we are descendants of slaves, but we're also descendants of many people from Africa. If you go, we're African Americans, okay? So I try to teach the children about their history through the arts, because then it becomes interesting for them. One of the things I'm very proud of, I was talking to some of my kids just this week, and I noticed my daughter was having these meetings at my house, and I said, what is going on? And she's told me that they were planning a Blacktastic film festival for the kids.
There's a word for you.
She invented it.
I want to talk about her in a minute.
Blacktastic film festival,
okay.
and what they're going to do is they're going to rent films that are by, starring, directed, and about African Americans, and they're going to do it over a 2-day weekend. In between, they'll go swimming, and they'll sit, and they're going to do it at our house, and the kids are going to have a sleepover. But the thing that's important about this is that they decided to do this.
Right. Well, what a great idea, and good luck with that.
I didn't do it by myself.
Well, I mean, you look, when you have a daughter like Samantha, and I've known Samantha all of her life. I've known you all your life too. You are I think that's a wonderful thing that you're doing with the kids. But you're a family woman. You're a great wife, and you're a great mom. You're a great friend to me and a lot of people. But I think primary in your life are those two people.
Yes.
Your husband is one of the great composers and conductors of all time, in Harold Wheeler, and your daughter Samantha is now
she's going to be a sophomore at university on the East Coast.
You don't want to say? Okay.
Well, I prefer
no,
not to.
No.
But I am very proud to say she gets so sick of me talking about her, but she made the dean's list her first year out, so I'm very proud of her.
Well, that's good, because I've watched her grow up with you and Harold at the helm, doing just wonderful job parenting that child.
Thank you.
And now she's a young woman, not a child anymore. Now tell me something about what else, aside from those wonderful things you're doing as an actress. Mm-hmm. I know you're doing Becker. What else are you doing? What else do you want to do?
Well, it's very interesting, because even though we've known each other for a very long time, and it's hard when you get to be 39. Please.
Well, a friend of yours was in here, and she claims to be 30.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
Well, I claim 39, but I've always had more than one interest in the arts. In New York, I had the opportunity to direct, and I want to do more of that. One of the things I plan on doing this year on the show is really seriously observing.
To direct Becker.
So that I can direct. I really want to do that.
Oh, they'll let you.
Yeah, and I recently directed a reading of Colored Girls at the Ford Theater.
I heard about that.
Yeah. And there is another organization that I'm a member of called Classic and Contemporary American Plays, CCAP we call it. Mm-hmm. And what we want to do is really do theater on a small scale. We start out with readings, and we invite people to come, but what we've done is we've aligned ourselves with schools. Again, here comes my kids again.
There you go.
We've aligned,
that's what you got to do.
Yeah. We've aligned ourselves with schools, and the children we couldn't do it without the teachers. And what they do is the English teachers assign the plays to the students. They read the plays, they come and see the performances, and then they go back and they discuss them in the classroom, so that it's an interactive thing. They are participating in the arts. Right. I believe that art is a participatory art.
Right on.
And I want young people to know. I want them to know who August Wilson is. I want them to know who James Baldwin is. I want them to know who Douglas Turner Ward or Steve Carter or all these playwrights out here, and these writers. Kids, I'm sad to say, there's almost a movement that says, if you want to learn, then you're stupid. If you want to learn, then you're not cool. No, it's just the opposite.
It's funny, because somebody had said to me over in, I don't know if it was Inglewood High, one of the all black high schools, that some of the kids believe that if they want to learn, you want to be white.
Exactly.
And that's,
Oh, it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
It drives me
That's
crazy.
amazing.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. And there's a whole movement that's going on now that says that if you want to be educated and if you want to go to college and if you want to make something of yourself, oh man, then you're not black. You're a sellout. You're a cop-out.
Yeah.
Can
It's
you
unfortunate.
imagine?
It's terrible.
Do you? And the thing that I teach my kids in Onyx Village, I say to them, oh no, education is very serious because there are people who died so that you could learn how to read. And they go, what do you mean? I said, okay, I'll give you some examples. Do you know prior to the civil rights movement, it was illegal out of slavery. It was illegal, and during slavery, it was illegal for blacks to even know how to read and write.
Right.
So in order for you to go to school, people died.
Sure, they had to steal away.
Exactly.
And there were whites that were
responsible for helping us.
and in big trouble.
Exactly.
Doing so.
Underground Railroad, many of the people, most of the people, as a matter of fact, who were participating in the Underground Railroad, they were white people.
Yeah.
They were white people.
Yeah.
Many Quakers.
Sure.
You know, yeah.
Sure. Let's go back for a minute to when we met, and that period, that decade that was so important for us. When you talk about history, you reminded me of it. I don't mean to take you back to
I love going back.
But that period, and let's face it, it was the decade of the 60s.
Yes.
That decade to me was the was the most important decade of my life. But you were there, you were younger, but you were there. What kind of impression did that decade leave on you?
The 60s made me who I am today in this new millennium. Because I had the opportunity to actually sit at the feet of people. And please understand, why I'm saying this, because I know you don't like to hear this stuff, but at that time when you were doing the Shakespeare Festival and you were starring in films and you were doing all these things, you took the time to work with these kids. But then I had the opportunity to be with people like yourself. I had the opportunity to be with people like Adolph Caesar and Douglas Turner Ward and Lonnie Elder and Sidney Poitier and Al Freeman Jr. and Lou Gossett, Francis Foster, Esther Roll, Rosalind Cash, Ruby Dee, Ozzie Davis. I can call all these people my friends.
Sure.
But I was a kid. But they never treated me like a kid. They treated me like a student. So I was able to learn from them. I was able to learn what it means to be an artist. I was able to learn what it means to respect my craft. Today, I don't feel that a lot of the young people that are in the entertainment industry, I don't feel that, first of all, they don't even know what the word craft is. There was a process that you had to go through in the 60s. You didn't wake up one morning and have a revelation and say, oh yeah, I'm going to be an actor. Do you wake up and have a revelation that says, oh yeah, I think I'm going to perform some surgery today?
I don't think so.
Well, back in the day, and I know I'm dating myself, but we had to learn. We had to go to school. We had to learn about the diaphragm. We had to learn about voice placement. We had to learn how to hit the back of the theater. Most of the actors today, they can't perform if you take a microphone from them. They can't do it because they weren't taught about their instrument. They weren't taught the so-called classics. They haven't done plays. They don't know about the theater. And I can always tell an actor who's done plays, who knows about the theater.
Sure you can.
Because there's just a different discipline. There's a different approach to the art. Something simple like showing up on time.
Hello. Yeah.
Something simple like memorizing your lines.
Right. Yeah.
There was an incident that happened on our show, a very minor incident. We have guest directors. We don't have the same director every episode. And we had a director come in, and we had done our blocking, meaning they had told me where I was supposed to be, on what line, and he was asking me to do things, and I would do them.
Right.
And the next day he came in and he said, "That's not where you're supposed to be." And the cameraman, before I could open my mouth, the cameraman said, "This is where you told her to be. Hattie is always where she's supposed to be."
Right on.
I didn't say a word.
And didn't have to.
I didn't have to.
Because
that's part of my job. My job is not just to say the lines. My job is to show up with a certain attitude. My job is to hit my marks. My job is to know my lines. My job is to treat my craft with respect and to treat everybody that I work with respect, because I can't do it by myself. It takes all of us to make this show happen.
Right.
It takes all, and the people on my set, it takes all of us to make that happen.
Right.
I've seen people walk on sets and didn't speak to the sound man. Do you know how stupid that is?
Oh, yeah. Got to talk to the sound man. But those are disciplines that you
that
learned.
I learned from
back-
the theater
right.
in the 60s. I
Right.
learned all those things. And one of the things that I'm doing now also is I'm writing. And I'm talking about some of those things and how they affected my life. Because those were incredible times.
Right.
I know that many of the actors would not be here today were it not for the things that we learned in the 60s.
Right.
Another incident happened just recently. There was a certain camaraderie that we had during that period, where if I went to an audition and my friend said, "Oh, did you hear about so-and-so? They're casting so-and-so,
Right.
and so-and-so is casting it. You better go." Oh, today?
Yeah, today, no way.
Forget about
Oh, no,
it.
they
Nobody
hide,
would
they
do
hide
that.
from you. They hide from you. I want to close out. I wanted to get your feeling quickly because we're running out of time.
Oh, I've been talking too
and we're going to
much.
get that person. We're going to get that person a microphone, whoever it is. But I wanted now. I mentioned to you that the South Bay Performing Arts Initiative was afoot and gone. Would you want to be a part of something like that? And what is your feeling about
Absolutely.
an institution like that? In the
Absolutely.
community?
I think it's important. The thing I left out about the 60s is that we had our own institutions then.
Right.
You see?
Yes, we did.
Now we don't. We had our own institutions in the 60s where I was a member of a repertory company
Right.
where I had someone come up to me recently at a cocktail party and tell me that they saw me in Atlanta when NEC, and we rehearsed. They remembered that we rehearsed at the Daughters of the, it wasn't the Daughters, it was the Daughters of the Revolutionary Club, Daughters of the Revolution Club in
Right.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Wow.
Now, you know how long ago that
Yes,
was?
ma'am, I
But we
do.
had our own institutions, and I think it's important that we do such. I also read recently that Gordon Davidson is leaving.
He is.
leaving the city center.
Right.
Who knows who's going to come in and who's going to run it? I think it's important that we have our own institutions, and it would be my honor. It would be my honor to be a part of it.
Well, we're certainly going to hold you to that when the time comes. Hattie Winston, I want to just thank you from the bottom of my heart. You know I love you, but the rest of the world doesn't. So I'm saying it
Thank
to you
you.
now. I love you. Thank you very much, and do come back. We're going to be doing the Urban Roundtable for quite a while.
Okay.
So we want you to come back and fill us in on what you are doing.
I
Okay?
will. Thank
Thanks,
you for
Hattie.
having me.
You bet.